Quiet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. It is Friday morning. We start off hot with the man that does not need caffeine, Mr. Stephen Dow. How are you, sir?
Oh, wow. Well, you are correct in that perspective. Yeah, I don't need caffeine. If anything,
No,
if I
I would
did,
hate to see you on caffeine, man.
you've maybe seen me probably go back on maybe one or two videos where I just love the taste of coffee,
Yeah, yeah,
but it just the good stuff, not the decaffeinated stuff. So
yeah,
once you see me start to
yeah.
stutter or vibrate, you'll know. And yeah, but
You're like
yeah,
you're like the road runner on caffeine. It just runs, just take off.
in the morning for sure, on Fridays for sure, with this kind of segments that we get to do, because I'm getting so much positive feedback. It
Yeah,
makes me feel so good, what we're doing.
yeah.
So
I
thank you
and
for everybody and kind words.
yeah, do the marketing thing because we got some exciting stuff to talk about.
Okay, well, again, although I work very happily for Velocity Mortgage Capital, all the ideas and topics discussed on this channel are that of my own. So of course, let's get it going.
Yeah, so something you and I created really out of thin air was something we call the
Right.
50-40-10 program. In video number 2 today, we're going to break down what combined loan to value is. So stay for that. But I want to
Right.
talk about the 50-40-10 because you've been sending out some pre-approval letters. Some deals have been done. We
Oh
have
yeah.
more in play. And
Hmm.
I just want to highlight again that the 50-40-10 is frankly built for investors and sellers who have equity, right?
Agreed.
We are heading into an environment where we have a real estate slowdown. Transactions are crashing, and I think even going much lower.
Right.
Uh, we also are in a situation where sellers sometimes need to sell, and maybe the asset isn't in condition to pass this or that. Maybe they have unique situations where like they want to stay in the home, but they can't because of this or that reason. And when you understand the power of the 50-40-10, which again is a 50% mortgage with Velocity, a 40% mortgage with the seller, a second mortgage, it's recorded,
Right.
it's a note, it's a
Right.
financial asset, and only
Right.
10% down.
Right.
This is why I am so excited for 2023 because I know that the longer I fish, I'll be able to find more of these opportunities. So,
Right.
the last couple of years, you and I were doing deals. I had to come in with 25 or 30% down. That's a lot of
Right.
cash.
Right. Right.
I'm going to be able to find the right opportunities with 10% down. And oh, by the way, when you do a blended rate, right, we get your 7.25 and I get 1 or 2 from the seller. My blended rates can be in the 4s. So,
Right.
dude, I'm just so excited for this. And it sounds easy rolling off my tongue because I've actually pitched this, helped this. We've done a deep dive on it together on Saturday, 90
Right.
minutes. But let's
Right.
talk about what you're seeing because you're getting more and more people going out. I found one. I know how
Oh
I can
yeah.
use this. Let's go.
Oh yeah. A regular on our channel. We won't want to give too much private information, but shout out to Matt utilizing that 50-40-10 concept. And I think from what I remember, because I was kind of excited for him,
Mhm.
um, the sellers are actually going to rent back from him after the purchase. So now he's got instant tenants.
Yeah.
So how do you go wrong when it cash flows from your seller? It's kind of just like a win-win kind of situation for everybody involved. So, I think the sellers were a little bit older.
Mhm.
Yeah. Long story short, they got a good chunk of their money, reduced their capital gains hit, and then are making some, kind of passive income, still living in the house.
Yeah. The key to the 50-40-10 is don't rush it.
Right.
I think a lot of investors who look at it and are as excited as I am, right? Putting 10%
Hmm.
down on a deal in a world where you have to put 30% down because banks are skittish is awesome.
Right.
I don't want investors to rush it, to force it. Not every deal, and I would say most deals won't fit this model.
Hmm.
You have to communicate. You have to talk to the seller. Steve, I don't, you have to talk to the seller multiple times.
Oh
They're
yeah,
not,
no,
they're
we
not going to
finally got a
trust
deal
you.
in. It
Yeah,
took 2 months. We
exactly.
sent out the pre-approval 2 months ago, and he said apologies for the delay. Seller finally came around, so yeah, it took about 2 months. So
Yeah.
sometimes they got to marinate it, or with what was going on and wishful pricing, and maybe not knowing what the real environment was like. The epiphany might hit them at different points in time, but sometimes better late than never. But hopefully Because again, if the longer they wait, prices around them keep dropping, then there's little chance of the appraisal coming to support the agreed upon price. So that's the only kind of part that although we don't want to confuse pressure with urgency as far as from making the pitch, the communication to the seller should be to some extent going over that topic because it's valid.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think my my postcard says housing crash coming?
The sky's falling.
The sky's falling. It should say housing crash coming in transactions. I just forgot to write the word transactions.
You can just sharpie them in later.
Yeah, I'll just write it in black ink.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's transactions, not price. But the idea of this 50-40-10 is to understand it, internalize it, understand why it's good for the seller, income, lower taxes. The other thing is you can pay a higher price. Right. Again, people get so fixated on price when they don't understand. Right. If for example, in this 50-40-10, if the seller wanted to give me 40% at 1% or 2%, some below normal.
Right. Which I'm seeing they're actually closing that way. Yes, absolutely.
So, I will pay a higher sticker price based on what works. Because again, what do I always say? It's got to cash flow day one. My debt structure's got to be 30-year fixed. The second could be a balloon in 10, but the first has got to be 30-year fixed. Thank you, Mr. Stephen Dow and Velocity Mortgage. And it's just a win-win, but it's not for everybody. It's not for every deal. It takes work. You've got to follow up and follow through. Back to the 2-month example. One of the things I would tell investors, again, sometimes I make it sound easy, and I'm trying to clean that up. These 50-40-10s may have to marinate, to use your word, right? You pitch it to the seller. They're still stuck on WIS pricing. They still think it's coming their way. They'll wait a month. They'll wait 45 days. No open house. No this, no that. Then you follow up. I would follow up every 2 weeks. Hey, I'm still here. Hey, I'm still here. Hey, I'm still here. Right?
Yeah.
In 2010 and 11, I was almost never the highest bidder. But I followed up like a madman every Monday, every Friday, every Monday, every Friday, every Monday, every Friday. Don't be a dick, but just want to let you know, hey, is it going anywhere? Have you gotten any offers? My offer stands. My offer stands.
Right.
And eventually they'll say yes.
Yes. Agreed. I mean, depending upon the motivation of the seller and the circumstances, again, if you're doing the homework and you see long days on market or other kind of, advantages in the sense of what you can utilize for your negotiations. But no, they're jumping right on board right away and they understand the situation or whatever the necessity is. But also the fact that, I mean, if the right circumstances, come up, it is a win-win. You can defer your capital gains. You can make money off of your interest off of that second to offset the additional capital gains on the remaining portion. So in the end, you get to keep more of the money. It just depends on if you really need all that money right away. So that's really what it is. But
so the other thing I want to tell everybody about is Mr. Stephen Dow gave us 90 minutes on a Saturday. 90 minutes on a Saturday 2 months ago now. Go to my playlist called Deep Dive. It's there. I think it says Deep Dive 50-40-10. And go take a look at that. And then immediately send him an email at sdow@velocitymortgage.com. Put ORAAT in the subject line. Only 5 letters in the subject line, nothing else. 5 letters in the subject line. So you can get through the firewall and tell him what you're looking at. Because I know as we have just entered slow season. August is done. It starts slowing down in September. There will be sellers, and I don't know which ones in which markets that want out and have equity. And if they do, 50-40-10 is the answer. Stephen, what do you think? And wrap it up.
100% agreed, because I'm funding them and I'm seeing these great deals when people are doing the work, negotiating and presenting valid, win-win terms for both parties. So that why wouldn't they? It's just a simple, detailed, and I think accurate, effective communication, however you want to call it. But once the seller really understands what you're trying to do, it's usually a pretty easy sale, because if the seller then, oh, okay, I just got to draw the note. I mean, there are certain risks to that, to the seller, but there's risk with anything as far as from a financial standpoint. But in the end, if the property cash flows and the borrower or investor, has a track record of paying on time, there's really not
Yeah.
the default rate, at least from our side, was pretty low. But long story short, yeah, let's wrap it all up. Give me a call or email me. Apologies to some people. I'm trying to get caught up for the 2 weeks or 3 weeks in July where I got COVID and everything else. So I'm trying to reach some of those people. So I do apologize for those. But other than that, everything's great. Thanks,
Yep.
guys.
Do yourself a favor. This video is going to get a lot of views. Send him some notes this weekend. Dow at Velocity Mortgage. Get in the queue so he sees you Monday morning. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.